Thanks for being on the show. Today we have Phil from SOMNURI. How do you say your last name?
SanGiacomo.
SanGiacomo. Okay, I was pretty sure that's how it's said, but I just didn't want to sound like a total asshole right out at the beginning.
I've heard all the pronunciations, so I wouldn't be offended.
Yeah, and Justin should be joining us in a bit. He's a singer and guitarist. SOMNURI. Let's talk about that. Where did the band name come from? Because Michael and I were talking about that. We're like, I've never heard that word before.
So we've actually been told by someone who speaks Romanian that it's kind of a strange word even for that language. And the best translation I've heard is that it means sleeps. So multiple times of having slept. So they slept would be the context. But I could be butchering that as well. So it at the end of the day, it's phonetically pleasing. So
It is
we went with
phonetically
it.
pleasing. That is very true. I like that though. It's kind of like the idea of like a fortnight of sleeping. Just some weird word that only makes sense in another language.
Right.
Probably not English. And I guess it doesn't even make sense. So why Romanian? Oh hey, look at this. Player 2 has entered the chat. Justin's here.
That's why they call him just in time.
Oh shit. What's up, Justin?
Sorry about the wait.
Oh, you're good. We're up and running and going.
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Lovely. Great
Where
day
are
in
you?
the city.
Hey, where are you right now?
I'm on my roof.
Hell yeah. It looks nice. I thought you were like Central Park or something like that, but that's not a boulder. That's just a chimney behind you or whatever that is.
I'm just waiting for the smoke to roll in.
So we were just talking about SOMNURI and the name of the band, and I guess how it means sleeps in Romanian that's what he said. All right.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's one of the rougher questions to answer, because it's a good band name. I like to just lie and make up different meanings after every time somebody asks me.
Yeah, totally. You could just say we just made it up too. I would have been like, yeah, totally. That makes sense too.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, I would say for this genre, people do make up a lot, names, and people just go with it. So, but the fact that it has a name that resembles something else in another language, you don't want to be that asshole and be like, yeah, we made that up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, cool. Hey, thanks for being on the show, guys. Let's just go from the very start. How did SOMNURI start as a band? When was the origination?
2015.
Yeah, right around there. 2015. Shared adjacent practice spaces and knew each other from playing in bands. Justin had a bunch of guitar ideas. As I mentioned before the podcast started rolling, he is also a drummer and great musician and had a bunch of cool song ideas and wanted to try playing guitar in a band for once.
Okay, cool. So
I totally forgot. I demoed out maybe 5 songs, drums, bass, and guitar, and it was awful. I was like, I absolutely need a drummer who can do. It was weird. Like I could play drums in anybody else's band, but I couldn't play drums in my own band. To my own song. It was weird.
Why do you think that is? Do you think you were just almost trying to show up yourself and kind of overdo it, or was it just some other weird mental block?
I think I had all these kind of preconceived notions of what the drums should do, and then I went to do it. I was like, I can't even do this. It was just, I don't know. It kind of felt a little pretentious too. Like I'm not ready for the one-man solo record that I play everything on. Someday, totally, but it was not. I wasn't there, so it was really nice to hear what Phil ended up putting over. A lot of it was way different ideas than what I would imagine the drums to be doing. So it was cool. It worked out.
So you didn't have enough fills, is what you're saying.
I was one fill short.
Yeah, just in time. You got one fill short. You guys are all freaking punning out today. I love that.
Firing on all cylinders.
Telling him I was just in time. So I'm right.
It was right as you were joining it. I had a good laugh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you had a really good face there, Zen. That was at least you were caught in a forever smile.
Yeah.
And then just gone.
Well, I can't help that. I'm just a smiley fucking guy.
All good. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you very much. Welcome back to my own show. Uh, okay, where the hell was I? That really threw me off. Oh yeah,
Formation
yeah.
of
So
the
you guys,
band.
you guys got yeah. So you just adjacent studios. You're both playing in other bands. Are you both from New York or Brooklyn?
Well, from upstate New York, Western New
Upstate.
York.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you guys moved down here. Was your whole goal kind of to be musicians? You can answer separately or together. Was that kind of what you wanted to do down here?
I don't think it was a goal so much as something I needed to do, and without sounding too pretentious, I needed to get into a different scene. You know, where we're from, there's not a huge uh, pool of musicians. I mean, there's a lot of good musicians, but maybe for this type of stuff I was trying to do, I needed to expand. So I desperately wanted to get into a bigger scene, and yeah, immediately you start meeting people. You go to shows. There's a show happening every night. Multiple shows happen every night, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you, Justin?
I moved from upstate. I'm closer to central New York. And I had moved to Boston. I was playing in the band, moved to Boston, lived there for 4 years, and it was fun. It definitely like got my feet wet. I think it was nice to move to a smaller city before just jumping right into New York. And then when I moved to New York, it was definitely like wanted to find a band to play drums in. So I'd only played drums in bands prior to that, and it was really hard. And I think it was really intimidating too. Of like, man, all these bands I would go try out for were really fucking good. And so I ended up doing like singer-songwriter acoustic stuff, and it really was like the most challenging thing. It was this scariest thing, being a solo dude with a guitar in front of people. Like, you know, but I'm glad I did it. I think it ended up giving me the confidence that I could use later to, you know, start a band and play guitar in a band, you know. But yeah, I moved here to play music and just kind of didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I'm glad I did, you know.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love how instead of just like trying out for a bunch of bands, you're like, I just got to go to an open mic. Screw it, just gotta go for the guitar.
Was doing like 5 open mics a week and sometimes 2 or 3 a night. It was awesome, and it's kind of that hustling mentality too of like sometimes you get shows out of it, sometimes you meet like-minded musicians, and that's actually where I met a musician, and they're like, "Yeah, I actually play metal, and we're looking for a drummer." I was like, "There it is, I did it."
You're never gonna believe this.
Yeah, yeah. No, like, well, you just sing sensitive songs about heartbreak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone needs that.
That's hilarious. I love that. So who does like where does the idea for the writing kind of come in with this stuff? Because I guess you were writing songs before. How does the whole band dynamic work for you guys in SOMNURI?
Well, I think it's always evolving too, right? I mean, the first record, I feel like I had all those songs. Most of the songs I had basically the songs or at least good skeletons for, and that was our first record. The second record was, you know, ideas and Phil helping assemble and like really help write the songs of like, you know, this part, you know, it's like we don't need 20-minute songs. And then this past record was, you know, even more of that, and Phil bringing in guitar ideas as well, and more lyric writing, more melody of like, you know, how maybe some vocal melodies might, you know, might work, or different ideas, right? Of so the collaboration is kept blossoming, you know, more and more each record, each song really.
Yeah. What about you, Phil? So I get it says at least on your Spotify that you're also the producer of SOMNURI. What does it mean to kind of be a producer, be the drummer in the band? What is your role? Is it like I don't know. What any and all thoughts for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like producing in the sense of, you know, like a Rick Rubin sitting on the couch saying yes or no. It's more the actual recording production, and just kind of, you know, tracking vocals, tracking guitars, getting the best takes out of us, and myself included. So I'm kind of producing myself in a way too. Doing a lot of pre-production for the records, you know, tempo mapping everything. So it's a lot of like, you know, stuff that saves us racking up a huge recording budget at the end of the day. And then yeah, I have a good idea of what, vocals and where things should sit, and yeah, like Justin said, we're always evolving with it, and whatever we can do DIY on our own before we start, spending money is ideal. So with it, we're creating the music we want to create and not being constrained by budgets and time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's always the best way to go into the studio. It's really funny getting called to record and nobody has anything ready, and the engineer, although they're getting paid a lot of money, they're still just like, guys, like,
Yeah,
you're not ready to be in here.
I've heard all the horror stories from friends where the band is paid for the time and they don't even have any of the parts written, and it's just like they're just sitting there at a standstill. So
yeah, it's not the 70s anymore where like you could just like hang around in a studio and just do a bunch of blow and smoke a bunch of weed and then just like hope that something comes out.
You can do that. But...
you can.
You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Sure.
Yeah. Never mind. You're right. So you guys recorded both of your albums at Studio G, and I was just kind of starting to read up on Studio G, but I didn't want to do too much. But apparently, it's more or less like a legendary spot for a lot of musicians. And why is that? And why is it? What makes it so good?
Well, the gear is obviously, kind of first and foremost. Like, what are they working with mics? What do the rooms sound like? But Justin had this friend, Jeff Berner, who works there, and that was kind of the allure of the first couple of records, is go track with someone we know, and he just made it really smooth, really easy, and then, like I said, we kind of do guitars and vocals ourselves to take a little more time with it. But Studio G has always been very comfortable, and like I said, top notch gear, and the rooms sound great. This record, we went to Silvercord, which is Gojira's home base, and Joe's studio, and it was awesome. We just needed a change, something different.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
Yeah, and your new album is coming out July 21st. Is that right?
You got it.
And DESIDERIUM. What's the meaning behind that name? Did you guys make that word up, or is that a
Go ahead, Justin.
Bunch of vowels strung together. No, I think the definition is like intense longing. Some other things that I was reading about. I can't remember how I came about it, but it's like this Irish poem, I want to say, something like that. But it was the sense of longing specifically for a home that you never really had, I think, was the first definition that I'd seen. It was like, whoa, and it kind of tied into a lot of the themes in the record of like, are you longing for this life that hasn't existed, or that you don't know, that hasn't happened yet? This kind of like loop of like, I get too heady, but it's like, what is life? What is our life experience? Are we living it now? Or are we waiting? Are we just constantly hustling to wait to live? There's can go on forever of, and it always kind of, the meaning kind of evolves over time too. The more I listen to some of the songs and even lyrics that I wrote, I'll be like, holy shit, that means something different. I think that's when it's fun, and people can interpret a lot of the lyrics and different themes the way they want to, and I love music that does that. It's not so like, this is it, this is what it means, nothing else.
Yeah, I love that idea of like what is this thing that I feel like I'm missing from my life, but you have no idea what it is because you're just.
It's kind of exactly that. Yeah,
that's the human condition in general.
Yeah.
Like, grass is always greener, but yeah, what if it's not even grass you're looking at?
Yeah, the hurry up and wait, yeah, just all those things of, what do you mean such a rush for? Let's just live the life right now while we have it.
Yeah, we're all getting back. So I would say would you say you write most of the lyrics, or is this like kind of a more of a band effort for the stuff for your music?
First record, I wrote all the lyrics. And in each record it becomes more, feels very on top of that stuff of kind of like, all right, what is it? What is this about? What, do these lyrics make sense? Is this a real word? Things like that. But it's really, it's really kind of, helped. I don't know. Everybody looks at lyrics in a different way, and this record even more so. I think it was a little bit on the Nefarious Way, but this record even more so of bringing in lyrical themes, whole verses, and I think it brings out the best for the song when you have multiple ideas. Like, is that better than this? It's always about what's the best idea wins, not whose idea is it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What other sort of things were different between this album you just recorded and your last two, other than changing the space where you recorded it? What other sort of things have changed along your band journey since 2015?
We're on a different label now, so we got signed to Monarch Heavy, and yeah, very excited to work with them and put this thing out. And I would say more than anything, recording wise, we went with an engineer to mix this time, which was a little different. In the past, I had mixed the records and knew they could be much better. So it was cool to work with a friend and colleague in Justin Mantooth at West End Studios in Kansas City. And I've done a bunch of projects with him, and it was like, man, we need pro ears on this time, and wanted to take the vocal recording to the next level, and production in general, just step it up.
Yeah,
as well as the songwriting, like Justin was saying.
I mean, I'm surprised you did all. I mean, the other two albums sound amazing, so that's pretty crazy that you're doing most of the mixing on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I mean,
another thing that was different too is like using, at least for guitars, like the first two records we just used my guitar amp through a cab, right? And that was, and we layered and we, kind of stacked and whatever. But this time, being in Gojira Studio is like, what's that amp sound like? What's that amp sound like? Was able to kind of like have a little more fun and have that studio experience too, with some different options. I thought was really, it was fun, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, if you get to actually have fun doing it, everything's going to come out better. That's super. That's super cool. That sounds like you guys had a really good experience. How long have you been recording this album? Huh? Or I guess writing, recording, the whole process.
The recording was about probably 2 months. We were in the studio for how many days, Justin? 4?
4, yeah, but really, 3.
Yeah.
We had set up today.
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, because Mantooth left us hanging. No. Yeah. Let's call it 4.
Wait, 4 days?
But as far as
yeah.
So 4 days of tracking, and then obviously there was more days we tracked bass in our own studio and vocals as well. So we take the longest time to record the vocals, make sure it's right, make sure it's feels good, feels natural. And then, but as far as songwriting, I mean, Justin always has ideas. I have ideas. We kind of like sit on demos for a while, and I'll take his guitar riffs and try to come up with some beats by myself or together. So the ideas are always flowing, and I think probably over the course of 2 years or so, we were working on the ideas, but the songs came together with vocals and lyrics pretty quickly. In the last month, really, before it was due.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a question about that. I'm currently involved in recording like an EP right now, but it's probably the most involved I've been with an EP. Usually, I'm a drummer, and usually I just I'm a hired gun, so I'm like pretty far removed from any of that. But as I write more with my friend for what we're working on, like I'm realizing there's so many songs that we don't use. Would you say you use most of the songs that you write, or are you just constantly coming up with new ideas? How long do you get in a song before you abandon it? Any thoughts on that? This is a personal question. I'm just curious about it.
Sure. I don't think they ever get abandoned. I think, there's songs on this record like I said, that have been, the structure or the riffs have been around for a couple of years, and maybe it just didn't, or maybe even like a riff, like one riff that was on a cell phone that, I have buried somewhere in my phone. I'm like, man, I know there's this awesome riff in there. I just have to search through hundreds of recordings to find that one. And so, yeah, there's always ideas, but I think, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but I think, yeah, there's always ideas, and it takes time, man. It's just like nothing is ever dead. I think we always have like a song that doesn't make the record because of the length of the vinyl, and we end up using it. Like Coils is a song we released last July, and it was just too long and weird to fit on the last record. But it needed to see the light of day.
Yeah, that's cool to think of it like that. What's so I mean, you obviously have constraints with vinyl, which I think is just I what is it? It's like 42 minutes can go on a vinyl. I forget. There's like some weird number, something like that.
Something like that. 21, 22 aside, I think. You don't want the degradation happening. You want the sonic quality to withhold. You want to compress everything just to fit 30 songs on a record. I think it's also kind of good for us too. It's like, all right, let's not put on 15 songs at 9 minutes length. It's like it's a hindrance sometimes to be like, oh man, how long is this song? Do we need to edit them down within the songwriting process? It's kind of a weird task, but like we had one song or two songs that didn't make this record that we recorded.
One.
All right. Which
is
not bad.
Pretty awesome.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Well, and then that's kind of always the goal of like, let's write the songs as full as possible and feel good, and we'll make that decision later. Like the parts. It's like the best songs make the record, and the songs that fit the kind of motif and everything that makes the record.
Yeah.
I always kind of look forward to stumbling across those old riffs that didn't make the cut. Pale Eyes from this record, was that the fourth song? That had, we kind of had the whole song from like our first record and just kind of forgot about it. It was like just chilling there as a full song. And I remember coming across it again. I was like, whoa, it's actually pretty cool. We should try and resurrect it and do something with it. And it's, it's one of the funner songs to play.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was gonna ask that too. What do you think is for both of you? What do you think your favorite song to play live is at the moment, if you have one?
1, 2, 3, go. No.
Man. I mean, I always love playing new stuff. So it's, it's not that I get sick of the old songs, but, obviously if you've played it a bunch live, you want to do something different. So I really like playing Remnants. And I also like playing Paramnesia. It's a single we're about to release, and it's just really big and sludgy and just fun. And it tickles my fancy, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a tickler, the riff tickler. The two previous singles I was gonna say was What a Way to Go and Death is the Beginning. Both of those just feel like they're just fun rock songs, each, and I have a solo in one, which I don't usually play solos, but it's like my time to shine. I got a solo, but they're both just like high energy. Like I feel like, we've only been playing them live since May. So the run that we just did, I think we've only played them live 5 or 6, maybe 7 shows. And each time it's like, man, I can't wait to play this tomorrow. Or, like we're about to go on tour. I can't wait to play this for a month straight. And, like those two first singles, I'm really enjoying playing right now.
Hell yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see him live whenever I get that chance. I had another question. You have like 6 to 8 different voices that you use in SOMNURI, which is
really?
in my opinion, how the hell do you like kind of developed your voice and like kind of being articulate in different ways and because like I would love to, you were talking about it earlier, you used to have like 20-minute versions of these songs, or you used to write really long ass songs. So I feel like your shit goes all over the place. So how did you kind of start learning to sing in all these different ways, or any and all thoughts?
I thought we were talking about drums here. What happened?
Well,
You sing like a
I don't
drummer.
know. I mean,
I don't want you to start overthinking it now. That would suck.
I don't know. I consider it, there's singing, and then there's screaming, and then there's an in between. But I don't know. It's kind of like what it just happens for whatever the part calls for, and I don't really have an answer for that. Like, thank you. I guess it makes me sound like I have multiple personalities or something. I have 6 to 8 different personalities. And I guess that it kind of feels like that too. You're kind of channeling a particular emotion. When it comes to screams, there's like kind of a higher thrashy scream, and then there's sometimes like guttural doom stuff. But it really, whatever's happening in the part, it just kind of, yeah. I don't know how do we do that, Phil? You're the producer.
I mean, to me, that's what makes the band interesting. I wouldn't be so interested in being in this kind of band if it wasn't for Justin's vocals. I think, like you said, the type of scream, like if I love hardcore, I love death metal, but like having to do the same kind of scream over and over. And obviously it's evolving. There's so many good vocalists out there. The dude from Lorna Shore has so many like crazy things he can do with his voice, and even like a Mike Patton, someone who could just like at any second turn on a dime and be a different character, a different person. And we've actually been criticized for it a little bit too. We've been called faceless by some, almost as in like, where's the identity of the singer, where's the identity of the front man or whatever. And it's just like, that's just not what we do. We, like Justin said, we cater to the part and try to, and when we're recording, we're like, what's going to work the best over this part, and what's conveying the emotion we're trying to convey.
Yeah, I mean, you could really see the amount of work you guys put into the recording process when you watch live videos. Like, and that's, I think, because you said you spent so much time on the vocals to get it right, but I mean, it's very like clear, and you have like just so many small sections where the voice and the like the feeling changes, and it's like you guys are like morphing this story. So anyway, that's my compliment to you. There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to talk about some drum stuff, because it's rare that we have a drummer on, let alone 2 drummers on. So I'd love to talk to you both about gear for a second. This is when people will usually chime off the podcast, so we'll keep this abbreviated. So you use some big ass cymbals. What are you rocking for your shows?
I guess they're big relatively. I got 15-inch hats, HHX hats. They say Dave Weckl on underneath the top one, which is kind of cool, I guess. And then I got a 19-inch AAX on my left, 20-inch AAX on my right, Explosion Crash, a 20-inch ride. I kind of like a ride I can crash on. I crash on that a lot. That's an HHX Evolution. And then I got this Holy Ozone thing from Sabian as well. The kind of the effects quick crash, if you will.
Yeah. Cool. And what are you rocking for drums?
Drums, I got Thomas Star Classics, Walnut Birch. And I just got this kit this year. I haven't had a new drum set in like 10 years. So I was like, coming out with a new record. We're going to be doing some more touring this year. And took the plunge. So, and I got a Tama, how is it? Brass snare. It rules. Can't think of the name. Starphonic.
Yeah. Those are super rad.
What say the color scheme is on those drums?
The color scheme. It's kind of like a I don't know. It's like a forest green with some charcoal in there. It's weird looking. I like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Justin, what was your very first drum kit, or what first drums that you played on? I always like this question.
Cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
The first real drum set I got was a CB. It was a C&B or whatever. And can we swear on here?
Oh, I've been swearing, so yeah.
My friend came over, and it was like the first day I had a C&B right on the bass drum, and he wrote "cock and balls" on the C&B. Like, dude, and I had to like play shows, and my bass drum said "cock and balls," and
Oh man.
like, like, come on, man, like there was no way I could get anyway. It was a CB, yeah. It was awesome. And it was just 2 rack tom, floor tom, kick, and then I played bass in the high school jazz band, and like every rehearsal, I would take a cymbal, and I would take a stand, and I would like eventually like worked up all these cymbals. It was, they were like the older Zildjians with no prints, like you couldn't even tell that they were Zildjian. It was like little tiny prints. Yeah. That was my first kit, and then I think we ended up like burning it or something.
That's pretty punk rock. The cock and balls drum set, it's gone.
Yeah,
That's
threw them up.
unfortunate.
It's like upstate redneck shit, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. What were both of your kind of first bands? Like, what was where were you starting off, and like first memorable shows for both of you? We'll start with you, Phil.
First memorable shows. Probably this Battle of the Bands that my band won. It's pretty cool in Rochester, New York, and it was extremely nu metal-y.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old are you?
I was 15, and the dude who played guitar was a senior, and he actually ended up making Justin's guitar. So it's kind of all come full circle. Like, I grew up playing with that guy, and we were so stoked. We like drove back from this Battle of the Bands, like probably beat a bunch of 30-year-olds, and like everyone was pissed at us. And at the end of it, like when they announced us, everyone was like, "Who the fuck is that band?" And yeah, we got out of there fast and drove home, and we're super stoked. Made the local paper and everything.
Rock on. Hell yeah. Wait, did you say your bandmate made a guitar for Justin? Is that
so he ended up getting into guitar building, and
what's the right word for that? What's that
Luthier?
really yeah, I was like, it's like that douchey name for it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry, go on. He's a luthier.
Yeah.
Luthier Vandross, yeah.
There you go.
So what, he made a guitar for him. What the hell? How'd that happen?
So he just got into building guitars, and like he makes sort of like Gibson style guitars, and has the permits to do so. And he just like, but he fucks it all up. He like takes a design that a Les Paul purist would be like, what the fuck is that thing, and he makes it his own. And so I brought these guitars to Justin. I said, you got to check this guy's shit out. He makes really cool stuff. I bet he would make you a baritone, which is Justin's jam now. And yeah, he just did a whole custom process. Justin, you can tell him how you guys came up with the design and everything.
Well,
I got bored quickly, so
no.
You tapped out.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the fretboards, blah blah blah. Okay, cool.
Let's make it cool. Anyway, I got into baritone guitars. I don't know, our old bass player also, he kind of like Frankenstein guitars together, and would always bring in these hideous things. Some of them were awesome. He ended up bringing one that was a buckethead baritone white SG. It was awesome. It was so cool, but it was Frankenstein together. It just wasn't built very well, but it sounded great, and the like neck felt great. So when Matt Banker from Banker Custom Guitar. When he hit me up, like Matt Hughes, yep, sorry, that's not his real name. Matt Hughes from Banker Custom Guitar. Like, dude, let's make you a guitar. Let's make you a proper one of a kind baritone that has never been done before. Fucking yeah. I really like the neck and the radius of the Buckethead SG. So I think I gave him the specs of that, and he's like, well, what kind of wood do you want? I have no idea. And he ended up getting this Honduran sinker mahogany. So I guess he has like a guy in Honduras who dives into rivers and like pulls these trees that have been in the mud for like 300 years and gets the wood and makes guitars out of them. And it was like, yeah, let's do that. You know, like it was really, you know, the scale
totally legal.
Totally legal. Yeah, and it's, I think it's, you know, that's I think the responsible way, because it's like, I don't think that wood, you can't harvest that wood anymore. You know, it's like Carina and that kind of mahogany. I don't think you can cut down those trees anymore unless you're a piece of shit. So like, you know, he's like, the loophole is getting that shit that's fallen into a river and has been like preserved, being in mud for hundreds of years. That sounded super cool. And then he kind of, you know, we talked about color schemes and like, let's just go one pickup. Let's, you know, and he's like, we went back and forth, I don't know, 20 times about this, that, and the other. It was kind of like, you're the expert, dude. Just build it and make sure it looks awesome. And it totally does. Yeah. It's like, I feel like a real guitar player having that thing, you know? I don't feel like a drummer playing guitar.
Yeah. You're like, this is made for me. Some guy had to go dive down.
Losers.
Yeah. So so baritone is usually what they use for, I mean, that's like the surf rock.
Yeah.
Guitar. I know it sounds like
Western stuff. They're typically in B standard, you know.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm surprised that more people who tune down to like B and A and beyond don't use that. I mean, it is longer. It's the same. It's basically like a Gibson Firebird body shape, but it's like the exact same size as the Thunderbird, which is the bass.
Yeah.
It's fucking huge. And anyway, it's awesome. I can talk about that guitar on a drum podcast all day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds sick as fuck. That's cool that you got that whole connection, and it's you know, goes all the way back to the Battle of the Bands. I'm glad I asked about your first band. How about you? How about you, Justin?
Really, like the first shows we were playing, like we played at a few venues in Syracuse, and we're just, you know, we didn't know what we were doing. We were terrible. And just, you know, so unprepared. Like we didn't know how. We did the thing where we'd like set up on stage and set up the drums on stage and tear down like one cymbal. You know, we were like such nerds. And but we started doing like graduation parties and like birthday parties in the summer that ruled. Like it was such a great, like playing outside is the best. And like, you know, it's like half covers, half originals. You know, we were playing Godsmack and Papa Roach, you know, the good shit. And like those to me were just like, there was so much fun, you know, and really kind of was like, I don't know, it's so fun, and you're really like, I want to take this the next step further, and then you kind of outgrow people who are like, I just want to play Godsmack covers, man. You know, you gotta give way.
Yeah. What's that song? Whatever or whatever. Yeah. That's fucking. I mean, some of those first, you know, fucking new metal albums are they're just icing on the cake, and I feel like new metal is almost having a resurgence right now, to some extent.
Oh, 100%.
Which I never thought I was gonna say, probably like 6 years ago, but it's kind of back.
Yeah, it was a dirty word for a while, and it's definitely made a comeback. I mean, we played a show, and right after we got done, there was a new metal night, and it was like a ton of fucking kids, and like we're like, hey, we got some new metal influence in our music, or you might like it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Like we're here to dance to fucking Saliva and Corn and whatever. Right.
But yeah, they were like 21, 22 years old. It's like you weren't even alive when new metal happened. Like it was so weird to see.
It's
But
awesome
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Yeah. St.
I
Vitus
think
puts on those shows, right?
Right.
Yeah. I definitely I've got to go to one.
do it.
My only hang up was that they were like selling the band shirts there. And I was like, wait a minute. Is this like a black market, like bootleg version of the Marilyn Manson shirt or the Deftones shirt or whatever? Like, what's going on here? What's this operation you're running here? So
Mistake didn't give you the rights to that.
Yeah. Although it is St. Vitus though, so honestly, if any venue in the world could pull that off or get the rights to sell their shit, it would be St. Vitus. But yeah, it
was
does
the
sound like a new metal
promoters,
black. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
sure.
the venue. It was the promoters. But yeah, whatever, man. As long as kids are into heavy music, it doesn't matter. You know, you can't be a gatekeeper or elitist. You know, if that's how they're discovering. That's how I discovered heavier music. You know, I was like listening to Deftones and stuff, and then found Meshuggah or whatever. It's cool to see.
Yeah. Have you both seen Meshuggah live?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, you've
Never
not just
seen them. What?
I mean,
I'm taking you on a date next time.
Meshuggah date.
They play Ozfest like early 2000s.
Yeah. Did they? I don't know.
Probably.
They did.
If they did,
Thank you, Michael.
If they did or did not.
They did.
They did. There's a beautiful video of them playing New Millennium Cyanide Christ like in 2001 to a bunch of people who have no idea what they are about to get into, and
amazing.
Truly.
Yeah.
Special
I went to all those Ozfests like 99 through 2004. So if they played, I probably had seen them, but I probably had to shit my pants and leave if I saw them, you know, like,
yeah.
What is happening?
quicker than usual at an Ozfest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're insane live. I actually had never heard of them before I saw them at Aftershock Festival, and I just remember hearing them in the way distance, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" It sounded like just a perpetual earthquake happening at this festival, and I was drawn to it like some weird fly. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, just for drummers too, it's like their shit's just absolutely insane. Yeah, and it's kind of they're kind of getting a little, I wouldn't say mainstream, but you know, Bill Burr, the comedian, he's always talking about Meshuggah now, which is just such a weird thing.
Yeah, that's bizarre, but he's got some pretty cool tastes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he hangs out with Dave Elish. He's like my guy. That's like my I went to Musicians Institute, and he would come all the time, and I bought his course. We've talked a few times, but I mean, he fucking trains that guy. So I don't know.
Cool.
Dave Elish is the shit.
Yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, I had a really good question. Where the hell did it go? Oh yeah, you guys held tryouts. You have now 4 members. So you added Chris. How was what made you decide you wanted to kind of expand the sound, and what was the idea behind that, and how did tryouts go?
So, I mean, we had never done anything like a tryout. We'd never even really advertised that we were looking for someone else. But I think we both knew that we wanted an additional member since the early days. It was, you know, and then we got labeled as this sort of power trio, or but ultimately we always knew there needed to be another layer there, and another musician, really. And once we found out Chris was a drummer as well, it sealed the deal.
Yeah, you're in, dude. You play drums too. Get in this band.
But in all seriousness, like he has a great sense of rhythm, and he's very tight with his playing, and it's awesome. I think that's what's always Justin writes great riffs, but he's also like a very tight player, and so having 2 guys now playing the same riff very tightly is awesome. It's a stereo wall of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly something that I think we intended to have from the very beginning, and it just never did. You know, it was 3 of us, and it was like, all right, we're rolling. you know, and it was hard enough to keep consistent bass players in the band that, you know, especially after this record, it was like, we're going to need someone else, you know. A lot of times if there was a different harmony or something happening on the record, I would use a loop pedal and try and play one thing and then play the other. It's really, you know, I think it can be done, not by me necessarily, but like it was just one of those things that like we need to really expand and kind of represent this record where there is more of that happening and go all the way, you know, just kind of where we were with our band of like, let's do the thing that we've said we're always going to do. Let's get some fresh blood in here and kind of shake up our band, and kind of like, it really has been like really reinvigorating for us, and like having, you know, another guy that won't stop playing guitar when Phil's trying to talk.
If I hear one more pinch harmonic,
You guys are all drummers too, so you're just like playing right over each other, just on your respective instruments, whatever you got.
Who can come up
the
with
same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is I mean, after band practice with the three of you there, Justin, do you always just try to jump on the drums a little bit before you leave?
I'm not telling you.
Damn. No, so you are playing my drums today. I know the cops comes out at 4.
He pulls out the measuring tape. Smell like something. There's a ding in my stick.
No, 3/16 off.
I haven't played drums since, I don't know. It's been a while. I got a 9-year-old son, and I take him over to our studio, over our practice space, like on a rainy day or something, like just let him fucking go nuts. I got a set of extra cymbals so he can smash the shit out of them. You can see him tonight. But I love playing drums, and never say never, but like, you know, I just love playing guitar, and drums are so much fun. I feel like that's where everybody should try to play drums in their life at some point. You know, I feel like guitar players could be better guitar players, bass players could be better bass players, singers could be better if you got a little drums in your life. You know, it's so primitive and so like that instant gratification when you fucking hit that groove and you're slamming. There's nothing like it. A pinch harmonic is pretty cool.
Yeah,
those are great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I was teaching, I taught drum lessons for like 5 years, and I taught like dancers. I taught people who just wanted to just get more involved in the rhythm side of things, and that was always a cool thing to see, especially when they get that first, you know, beat number 1 that everybody learns how to play, and they can play it solidly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, Billie Jean, Back in Black, those songs have made me more money than any other song. Just
thanks, Rod.
My best students, my best drum students were always piano players.
Really?
I discovered this over time. For whatever reason, just like being able to read music and do multiple things at once, I think just, you know, triggers something in the brain, and they just picked it up so quick, almost too quick, because I'd be like, all right, well, I gotta, like, you know, you're just gonna know everything too quickly, and that's
yeah, you gotta keep on sucking, or else I have to start getting more curriculum. Yeah, that was definitely a thought process for me when I was teaching.
You're gonna milk your parents for money, dude.
I had this kid that I taught the first drum. He never played drums before, and I like taught him on his table. He was just patting it out, and then within 3 months, he was doing like stick tricks behind his head, throwing the stick up, catching it, shit that I literally cannot do. And I was like, "You little asshole! Like, you're gonna make me look bad."
These kids grew up with YouTube as well, so they just have so much knowledge, musical knowledge at their fingertips, and you can learn how to do anything at any time, you know. And it's cool, but it's also scary, you know. It's like, there is some kid out there who will shred you into, you know, non-existence if they wanted to. But, you know, there's something about like life experience too, being a musician, you know, like getting out and experiencing things and making art instead of just like honing your skills all the time, you know. And I think we're in this generation of like, the solo artist, really, of like someone who's just a star on Instagram, and they're absolutely have every chop you can imagine. I don't know any of their songs, and I can't think of any. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a different world. So it's cool to see up and coming bands more so for me than necessarily like the me players.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree too. It's, some of the best drummers on Instagram and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't. Who's ever listened to a song by you though? Like
Right.
That was a cool trick. But yeah, that's always something we can like have a talk down with other musicians. Be like, yeah, they suck. I mean, they haven't even got drunk at a show and had to figure out how to get home afterwards. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, they're missing out. Like, clearly,
Right.
they've had to spend a fortune to just like buy gear and not get paid. Yeah.
Oh, you
Those
didn't leave your
idiots.
cymbals 2 states away? Like, oh, then you haven't,
Yeah.
you haven't got
How are you even a musician? Like, come on.
Right.
So yeah. Well, going off of that, Justin, how are you feeling? You got hit by a car not that long ago, and we just wanted to ask how you're doing in general, and what was that whole experience like? If you're feeling like talking about it.
Yeah, it was awful. You ever been hit by a car, dude?
No, I have not.
I've been a bike messenger in New York City for 10 years, maybe. And I've been hit plenty of times, but never like totally wiped out. It was scary, like I was pretty heavily concussed. Yeah, and it was just like, it's my livelihood. It's my way of experiencing the city. It's on a bike, and it's I think it's the greatest way to experience the city until you get fucking KO'd. Um, I don't know. I could go on about it because each week it's a different kind of vibe, but it is one of those things that makes you feel grateful of like, all right, I made it to the other side. I'm still alive. I can still play music. And for me, coming out of that, and having the conversation about getting a fourth member, it was one of those things of like, let's not wait anymore. Like, let's do the things we said we were going to do now, instead of like maybe next year, maybe next record. Like, let's fucking put that tryout meme out there with, like, let's do the things. And it just kind of gives you, as scary as it is, it gives you that perspective that like life can be gone like fucking that, and do the shit that you want to do right now. And, my brain was never super quick to begin with, but I think I'm back. It sucks that it happened the night of a really rad show. It was the night of the Julie Christmas show at St. Vitus. It was awesome. And then yeah. But thank you for asking. I think I'm back.
Well, it's good to have you back, and yeah, I'm glad that you're still able to play music and actually like do shows. And
we got a new guitar out of it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, just in case we need to sub somebody in really quick. And he's a drummer, so
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's pretty wild. I mean, it's interesting that you had that perspective in general. I'm sure it's kind of like just changed. It's always interesting to hear about people who have experiences like that, because you can see it in their eyes. They're like, yeah, this actually does mean something. Like, go out and do the shit that you actually want to do, because you can talk
I think
forever.
With any adversity, you kind of have two choices, pack it up and fucking quit, or realize what you got and go on even harder,
Yeah. I just have a couple more questions for you guys. It's been super fun. What is each of your ideas of success? That's the question.
Where'd he go?
Damn, it looks
It's
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's obviously relative. I think, for me, it's always been getting this music to as many people as possible and connecting with people. I'm not a very extroverted person, so like going to shows, playing shows is my social time, and yeah, it's fun connecting with a random stranger from somewhere who found your music on the internet and really loves your band, and it's cool to have those conversations with people. And so that's a success in itself. And then obviously, it's keeping the business side of things going, like, playing shows, continuing to tour. I think that's really the biggest goal for us, is to continue to be on the road. And if we can do that, then we're being successful. And if that brings, more monetary success as well, then that's cool. But ultimately, as long as we can keep this thing going and keep connecting with people, that's success for me.
Yeah, I like that. How about for you, Justin?
I think, being able to express yourself musically, and look at a record or a song and be like, that was exactly or that came out how I wanted it to, or being able to write that song that makes you feel a particular way, being able to express yourself through music and feel is like, I didn't know that's what I wanted when I started music, but it's happened a bunch of times. And like listening to this new record, Desiderium, out July 21st on Monarch Heavy, listening to it is like, it gives me that feeling and it makes me feel like a kid again. And it's like, it just kind of rolls over and it reaffirms of like why music means so much to me, other people's music, my own music. And secondly, I think every girlfriend that I've ever had has asked me the same question. And my answer has always been like, if I can travel the world through music and pay for my rent, that's success. You know what I mean? Like, if music can give me these things in life and joy and to see the world, and I can come home and still make rent, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I like how I'm asking the girlfriend question. That's that's great.
I wrote a song about it, dude. No.
All right, and another kind of the other side of that is what gives you doubts, and how do you overcome them when it comes to just creating and putting stuff out there in the world?
AI. I'm afraid of this AI stuff with
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. As far as sorry, can you rephrase it a bit?
Yeah, so if anything gives you kind of doubt about like putting out music, if you ever have like a moment where you're like, I don't know if what are we doing? Like, what are we doing right now? Are we like still gonna go hop in the van? Like, what gives you doubts? And how do you kind of overcome them in general?
There's a ton of self-doubt. I think any musician would be lying if they said, I just know I'm gonna make it. It's like, and that's kind of the challenging part about the whole thing is overcoming that. And some days it's more prevalent than others. But I think like Justin was touching on it, if you can be proud of your music, that's just such a good first step. And if you're questioning whether you're proud of your music, you're either not making the right music or you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so yeah, that's how I would dodge those internal thoughts of like, how are we gonna come up with this money to pay for this thing for the record, or like all that kind of stuff that goes into the business side of being in a band. Like, it all has to start with the music, for me anyway.
Yeah. All right, how about you, Justin?
Yeah, I think, early on you like hear or read the statistic of like 0.0000001% of people playing music have any financial gain from it. And I think I was like, yeah, I like those odds. Like, if you're telling me that it's a bad idea and I can't do it, it makes me want to do it even more. Yeah,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, it's it's the Lloyd Christmas mentality, dude. It's such a bad idea. It makes no sense. It's such a bad idea. Nobody should do it, but it's the funnest thing in the world. So, what are you living for? Making fucking, accounting, doing someone's taxes, or are you trying to like beat the odds, even if they're insurmountable?
Yeah.
So that kind of reality of doubt of like, hey man, can we climb this mountain? Are we going to go around it or go through it? I like that kind of challenge. It's hard enough writing music. It's hard enough to, but it's even harder to hope that other people like it too, enough that you can keep, you can sustain your band and a collection of your mates and fucking keep doing it. It's the thrill. The thrill is always worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's well put. Well put. Well, hey, we're at the end here. What do you? So you have an album coming out? Why don't you just talk about your tour, talk about your album coming out, give the people what they need to hear.
Yeah, we're about to embark on a West Coast tour predominantly with Telekinetic Yeti and Stinking Lizaveta. And yeah, playing some awesome shows. And then the end of this month, we're going to be out with Zao and Narcissus. And so two totally different kinds of tours, really, as far as music goes. And very excited about that. And yeah, we have an album coming out the 21st, like we mentioned. New single coming out on the 14th of July. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, this has been a pleasure getting to talk to both of you, and I hope we get to meet you guys, have a beer with you at your next show when you come to Brooklyn. Yeah, hey, there's Michael. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys.
We'll have a record release show end of August.
End of August?
So, yeah, August 26th. That'll be the next local thing we do, I think. So August 26th at Union Pool.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about that. So yeah, we'd love to see you guys there.
Yeah, Michael and I will be there.
We will absolutely be there.
That sounds super fun. Yeah. That's gonna be
We've already canceled all of our other plans in August.
Right now.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. Screen off.
Plenty of time.
Well, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else you want to mention before we get off here? Before we get off here, that should rephrase that. Before we get off the Zoom call.
Got off before I got on.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, nice calm state of mind before a podcast.
Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate you checking out our music, and we appreciate the questions. I love talking to other musicians. It's a ton of fun. So thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys, and yeah, we'll see you soon, and we'll be keeping up with you, and we can't wait for the new album, and yeah, can't wait to see you when we see you.
Sick.
Awesome. Thanks, dudes.
Right. Peace out, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.